Hello everybody, welcome back to the Lord of Locals channel, and really welcome back to me. I know it's been a hot minute, but we have had a new format under our belts, and I have been experimenting, and I have been brewing. And boy howdy do I have some brews for you. For a couple weeks we were playing our Mathmech Dynamorphia list, we played Goatee again, even about the Trap Tricks deck, though I don't think I'm going to make a video about that one. My deck isn't really that different from anybody else's. You normal trap tricks, you make Sarah, you activate a trap, you just go off. It's not particularly bad. I don't think I'm going to try and one-up pack on a trap tricks list, but I am going to give you this one. Now, this sort of came about because I was in a search for an extra engine you could slot into Dark World. I refused to play the Silva hand loop version. I refused to play the combo that hand loops for 5. Unfortunately, my conclusion is that's really the only good way to play Dark World right now, and so I actually got rid of a lot of my more expensive Dark World cards because a lot of them have gone up in price. Just because I don't think I'm not confident in saying that the mid-range version I play is good enough, and I don't want to play a deck that I don't think is good enough for my purposes. So if there's any innovations in that space, I might go back to Dark World, but for now we are leaving it alone. But while searching for a Fiend archetype and a Fiend package to slot into Dark World, I ran into Evil Eye. And I have played Evil Eye before, and it wasn't particularly interesting. At the time, it was just normal Surzeal, add Selene, pass, basically. You know, there wasn't really much you could be doing with it. But then I saw in Photon Hypernova, we got some spicy new cards. So I'll be going through the deck, a little bit about the deck philosophy as I go, and then I'll show you the two main combos you're going to see. They don't differ, really. It's just sort of changing the order in which you search cards, but we'll get into that in a bit. So without further ado, let's get into it. Starting with the Evil Eye monsters. First off, we have 3 Surzeal. This is essentially mandatory. I mean, it's your best summon in the deck, bar none. You want to see Surzeal in your opening hand. Surzeal is a 1 card, end on 4 interruptions. That's pretty good. Obviously, if you get interrupted, it's different, but you can have redundancy. There's any number of things, but Surzeal is a 1 card, 4 interruptions. She's a tower. She's a pop. Because if you pop the field spell, you get more value. Like, this card is nuts. I play Dynamorphia. You know I love a good normal summon get some value. This is normal summon get some value like times a bajillion. I would say this is a better normal summon in this deck. In the deck it's played in, Surzeal is the best normal summon in the game. Because the amount it gets you for a single normal summon is better than even Alistair. So, 3 Surzeal, we want to see it. Next up is new card, 3 Basiltris. This card is also insane. This was printed in Photon Hypernova. If you don't know what it does, if you control an Evil Eye monster, you can quick effect special summon it from the grave or hand, but banish it when it leaves the field. And then quick effect, during your opponent's turn, you can link summon an Evil Eye Link monster using equip spells. So if you have Surzeal and Basiltris, you can make the Gorgon and keep the big Surzeal around. Like, this is nuts. You play 3 of it because you want the redundancy. It does banish itself when it leaves the field, so if you link with it, it will banish, so we want multiple copies. And finally, we play 3 Basilius. I don't think you want a Catablepus. Obviously, the extra special from Grave is fine, but like, I don't lean as hard into the rank 3 toolboxes as much as other people do. I think it's good, but the Evil Eye combos are generally going to get you there anyway. And so I don't see the need to have a super diverse set of 3s. The 3s you get are Basilius and Basiltris, and that's just fine. That being said, 3 of this is great because normaling this and having any other Evil Eye card in your hand, you can send Gorgonia, pitch, add another Evil Eye, and it can get you into some plays. So this is pretty good. This is not a 1-card combo, but it can be a 2-card combo. But that's the Evil Eye monsters. Now for the Evil Eye spell traps. We play 3 of the field spell. This should not come as a surprise to anybody. I mean, this adds Surzeal. Now, because you have to play this to add Surzeal, this is not a 1-card combo 4 interruptions. I think this is a 1-card combo 2, possibly 3 interruptions. That being said, it's still pretty good. But obviously, you would rather see Surzeal because then as part of the Surzeal combo, you search this and add Basilius. So if you have to start with this, you can't add the Basilius, which means you lose a couple interruptions, but that's fine. Fantastic card. The battle damage redirect never came up. We were never in a position where I was taking any battle damage for that to happen. That didn't come up, but if you pop it, I mean, that comes up all the time. You use Surzeal's effect. You pop something, you pop this, you get back a Basilisk to your hand that you can pitch to Gorgonia to search another spell trap. Like, this is great. Evil Eyes Unleashed, 3 copies. Guys, this card is frankly bonkers. Like, I can't say it's broken because it is an archetype card. It's not just a general card. But this is a double Foolish Burial as cost. As cost, you are Foolish Barreling an Evil Eye monster. This one, which special summons itself from the grave. And an Evil Eye trap, or Evil Eye spell trap. I'll tell you which one you Foolish Barrel in a second, but it gets you value. To add the equipped spell, you get everything you want off of one card. This is also a one card for interruption board. So if you open this in 4 hand traps, you're getting 8 interruptions because you have 4 off of this and then the 4 cards in your hand. This card is insane. For those who don't know, I'll read it real quick. It's send an Evil Eye monster and 1 Evil Eye spell trap from your deck to the graveyard as cost. Add an Evil Eye equipped spell from your deck to your hand. So you send Selene, you send Gorgoneo, you send Basilisk, you add Selene, boom, bing, bop, boom, bang, pow. That's what you want. For the rest of the turn, if you activate a non-Evil Eye card effect, you lose 500, but you're not really doing that. You're an Evil Eye deck. I mean, you're not really doing that. And then if you link summon an Evil Eye Link monster, on either turn, you can banish it from your grave to re-equip an Evil Eye equip spell to any Link monster you control. So what you essentially do is you can set up Surzeal with a Selene and Basilisk on the field. You use Surzeal's pop. You use Basilisk's effect to link Basilisk and the equip spell into Gorgon, and then use Evil Eye Unleashed to equip the Evil Eye of Selene to the Gorgon, and now you have a negate. Like, this is ridiculous. This is so good. Like, this is exactly what the archetype needed. It both makes it so it's not just normal Surzeal set 4 pass. Now you actually have combo plays, and it gives it incredible resiliency. The equip spells, we play 2 each. 2 Selene, 2 Gorgoneo. This is what you're sending off of Basilisk. This is what you're sending along with Basilisk off of Unleashed, because if you send Gorgoneo and Basilisk, add the Selene, you can banish the Gorgoneo, send the Selene you just added to add the field spell, and then the field spell add Surzeal. Like, what are we doing here? Like, it's ridiculous. You've just set the Selene in the grave, which can come back. You've just sent the Basilisk to the grave, and now you're still going into your full combo. You want more than one because occasionally you will draw Gorgoneo, and Unleashed only sends from deck, and you really do need to send it in grave to get your plays going, but you don't really want 3. You don't want to brick on them. You see enough Selene. You have enough ways of getting to Selene that it's not a problem. So, like, I think 2 is the correct number. And then finally, we've got 1 Reemergence and 1 Retribution. A lot of people are playing the special from deck. I don't like it as much, mainly because I'm not playing as many Evil Eye monsters from the deck. Through the course of your normal combo, you will summon each one of these, and so it's not really useful to pull another one from the deck. But what is useful is if you have Surzeal and you have any one of your combo pieces, you can search this off of something that would have got you one of your combo pieces, and then that's just a straight Gorgon. Like, you just play this if you have access to another Selene. Essentially, if you open an extra Selene, you can search this off of Surzeal, and then just play this, and then you can link the tokens into the link too, and equip it with your extra Selene, and now you've got a negate and a pop, and then you've also got the link into the final. It's ridiculous. So one of is fine. The targeting doesn't really ever come up. The only situation where it would really come up is if you are facing down a Kashtira board that doesn't have a Rise Heart, but like you can banish this and suddenly your stuff is not targetable. I mean, the problem is Selene is. Oh, sorry. Yeah, target spell traps. I did have somebody who Fenrir'd the Selene, which can be a problem, but if you're in that situation, you have a reemergence, you can banish to prevent the targeting, but like, oh, no. Oh, yeah, it's your opponent can't target. I thought it was you can't destroy. Yeah, you can't target. So, like, it has some cases, but it didn't really ever come up. And then 1 Retribution. This is if you already have a combo piece, but you don't have an extra Celine, so you're not searching Emergence. This just protects you against Evenly or Lightning Storm. It's just good. With red reboot gone, the whole your opponent can't activate any effects. Your opponent can't negate the effect. Like it never comes up. It doesn't matter. But what does matter is retributioning Evenly, which did come up last night. Oh, I didn't even say the record. We went 5-1 with this. We came in 4th place out of 40 people, like, and playing meta all night. So I'll give a quick tournament report after the deck profile, but like it was essentially a small regional at that point. We had a 6-round locals, and I went 5-1. Lost the first round really close, and then just swept the final 5 against meta all night. Like this deck, if people aren't prepared for it, and even when they are kind of prepared for it, games 2 and 3, you can do some nasty things. All right, but that is all the Evil Eye cards. That's actually it's a very surprisingly small engine. This is only about half of our deck, which means we get to devote the rest of our deck to good stuff. And the first good stuff we're going to devote to is 3 Prosperity. You are a 1-card starter deck, and so you want to be seeing your 1-card starters as often as possible. And so digging for 6 is good. People will also ash this, but if they ash this and you've already got the 1-card starter, you get your 1-card combo anyway, which is great. So like you have a lot of redundancy, but Prosperity is good. I'm so happy I finally managed to pick these up. But yeah. 1 Terraforming, field spell's good. You want to see the field spell. Any redundancy you can add. If you can have a Surgial and a way to the field spell, you can search something else with the Surgial, or you can search something else with the Gorgonale, and so you just get extra redundancy. So I like Terraforming. And 1 Called By. Everybody's playing Ash. You got to stop the Ash. This isn't as good because people aren't playing other monster hand traps. It's really just Ash and Imperm. And so I'm actually considering maybe taking this out for something else, maybe like a Pancratops, a going second card. But as it is, it's pretty good. So, I mean, it's Called By. Next, we have our defensive cards. Now, I am actually have something in the following list that I didn't play last night, but it's replacing a card that I played last night, never saw, always sided out, and just generally hated. So, without further ado, we have 3 Ash. Ash is good, folks. I mean, you want to stop Branded Fusion, you want to stop Kashtira Theosis, that's your girl. I don't have to explain to you why we're playing Ash. 3 Nibiru. This is really good against, surprisingly, games that aren't Kashtira, because everybody at my locals is playing around Nib. They're just going a Rise Heart Pass, which is usually pretty good. This Nibiru has actually been most useful against Branded, of all things. Normally, Branded doesn't play into it, but the Branded people I know play the Bestial version, which actually summons a lot of times. I actually managed to Nibiru a guy after he summoned Dragoon because he had no cards in hand, and he was very upset about that. So I like Nib. You will side this out occasionally, especially against Cash because they play around it, but it's still very good to have. Eats Hero alive if you find yourself against a hero player. So find yourself against a hero player. 3 Contact C. This card is ridiculous. I think Contact C is very, very well positioned in the meta. It completely shuts off Kashtira. If you let them go through the combo, as soon as they summon Rise Heart, summon Contact C, and they are completely locked out of the extra deck because they have to Xyz. They're locked into Xyz because of Rise Heart, but then they can't Xyz with it because it's a 6. Like, there are no options for them with Contact C, and so you've just ended their turn. It's functionally Nibiru copies 5 through 6 that they can't really play around. I was contacting seeing people all night. I contact seed a hero player, and he couldn't do anything with it because you can't make Cross Crusader. You can't really poly anything with it. I played it against Branded. You summon it against Branded, they have to make Guardian Chimera. Against the Branded player I played, I contact seeded him after he normaled to Alibur, and so he had to search Branded in white with the Alibur, and then use Branded in white to make Guardian Chimera, and then I second contact seeded him on the Guardian Chimera, and he just fell over from there. There was nothing he could do. So I highly suggest you play Contact C. I think this is one of the best hand traps in the format right now. So that's the monsters. Next up we have 3 Super Poly. This is replacing Triple Tack. Talents, not Thrust. Maybe your meta is different, but I didn't activate Triple Tack a single time yesterday, and I sided it out basically every single match. I just hated seeing it. Nobody was ever ashing me, or if they were, I didn't have it. Like if I was going second and I opened triple tack, I normal Surzeal, they negate the Surzeal with something. I can triple tack now, but what am I doing with it? I could draw 2, but the chances that I draw into the combo piece is not super high. I could try and take something of theirs and link it to an Evil Eye, but I don't have the equip spell. I hated triple tack, but there were so many times where I saw a board that I would have killed to super poly. We can play any number of super poly targets because our extra deck is super light on the Evil Eye stuff, so you can play a big toolbox. And I just think there's so many instances where I wanted to super poly and I couldn't because I was running triple tack. So I highly suggest super poly. And then 3 imperm. It's just great. Friendly reminder, as I learned last night, if you imperm, first off, you can't imperm Traptrix Sarah. I knew that one. But if you imperm their Parallel Exceed that they summon to the Traptrix Sarah, they get the Sarah special summon. So we almost lost because of that. We managed to turn it around, but be very careful when playing this card against Traptrix. You might even want to side this out against Traptrix because it's just so much of a liability. But it's a good hand trap, folks. It doesn't activate triple tack, so that's good. But that is the main deck. We are playing... Essentially, half the deck is engine, and the rest of the deck is strong staples. Going into the extra, we're going to start with the Evil Eye extra deck, and that is 2 Gorgon, 1 Zerziel. That's it. That's all you're doing. This is all you need. I think maybe you want a second copy of Zerziel. It occasionally came up that you wanted a second copy of Zerziel, but I don't think that's true. Like, you have so much ability to make big bodies that, like, Zerziel is good for closing out games, but you can close out games anyway. Your Zerziel and your Gorgons get huge. Like, it's perfectly fine to only have 1 Zerziel. Though, fun fact, if you're going second, you can nib them and then use the nib to make this, and it gets its second attack. Oh, no, you can't. I cheated. I literally cheated. Haha, literally cheated. Gorgon is including an Evil Eye monster, but Zerziel is only Evil Eye monsters. So you can't do that. That wouldn't have mattered. It was gravy, so I would have won that game anyway. But good to know. Good to know that I'm a dirty, rotten cheater. I apologize, Carlos. I think it was Carlos. Yeah, I beat Carlos with that. I apologize, Carlos. I cheated, and I am ashamed. But that's the Evil Eye extra deck. It's just these 3. That's the only Evil Eye cards that there are. That's the only one you need. And then the rest of it is essentially just tech choices. For the links, we've got a Dark. I played Hero. It's occasionally useful to make this. Avramax? I don't know. This essentially became me going through my extra deck, or going through my binder, and just seeing what generic extra deck link monsters I could put in there, and then just putting them in there. So, like, Avramax... This could be access code. This could be whatever you want. It really doesn't matter. Most of these you're banishing off of Pot of Prosperity anyway. Underworld Goddess. Some people are still playing Ignister, and you need to be able to get rid of it. Some people are playing Evil Eye, and you need to be able to get rid of it. So, like, it's a good card, bro. That's the Link monsters. Next we have the Xyz Toolbox. I think I would probably trade these 3 out for more level 3, rank 3 toolboxes. I never made these. But I was killing for rank 3s, so that's probably my one change, but this is still fine. 1 Cicada King. A hard negate is sometimes useful. Our normal other rank 3 play is Darius into Divisor King. This is the 2 interruptions that go into the 1 card 4 interruption combo, but it isn't a negate. This is really good against Sprite. We absolutely demolish Sprite with him because because they get their effect, but then you steal the monster. So... Especially, this also stops Gigantic, because if they activate Gigantic, you can steal it, and then they can't detach. And so not only have you stopped the Gigantic, you've also stolen it, and they have nothing to special other sprites with. So this can come up. I really like this. I think Divisor King is pretty good, especially because the rest of it is just Downward Zeus. Especially because if you go... Divisor King, so if you summon Darius, you make Divisor King, you have 3 material. You activate him once, you pay 2, you attach 1, you're at 2 material. You activate again, you pay 2, you attach 1 as material. Battling and overlaying Zeus means he has 2 material perfectly. So this, a used up Divisor King goes perfectly into Zeus. And And so I really prioritize making Divisor King over Cicada King. But if you know that you need a hard monster negate, make Cicada King. Yeah, that's my spiel. Those are the XCs. Next up, we've just got our Super Poly toolbox. We got Mud Dragon, Garura, Starving Venom, Dragostapelia. I play enough branded that I think Dragostapelia can be put in, but if you're not seeing enough branded, you can swap this out for like Trifio Verudum. You can swap it out for another level 3 because these 3 are probably your best Super Poly targets. You do whatever you want. There you go. That is the extra. I'll show off the side real quick before I do the combo. Before I show you the combo. All but 3 of these cards came up. I sided in, of these 15, I sided in 12. I sided in 12 of them in at least one game. But the 3 I never played last night were Ghost Sister. But you can't take this out. You need life points a lot more than other people do. And so sometimes, even if you're not close to time, but it's like game 3 and there's maybe 10 minutes left on the clock, even if you're going first, I would suggest bring in Ghost Sister just so you can fuel your paying life points a lot more. And sometimes you just win in time. But that being said, our games were decisive enough that we never got to the point that we were going into time, and so I never brought this in, but I still think it's good. 3 Lightning Storm. There are back row decks. It's very difficult to use Lightning Storm against Trap Tricks specifically because they have the one Trap Tricks that can quick effect special and prevent everything from being destroyed. So that's rough, but I still think Lightning Storm is best. I think you could, if you're seeing a lot of back row decks, swap out the Called By main for a Feather Duster and then keep the Lightning Storms on the side. But, I mean, it's just so useful to have around. I actually brought this in against Trap Tricks, and then the Trap Tricks players summoned all of their Trap Tricks in attack mode. Didn't make Rafflesia, just made the other ones. I think she wasn't able to make Rafflesia. I can't remember why. But I just Lightning Stormed, and she had 1 back row, and I'm like, oh, I'm just going to blow up your monsters, actually. And then that worked out just fine. So, Lightning Storm, good. Book of Eclipse. I brought it in a couple of times. I never saw it, but it would have been useful in the situations where I brought it in, so I keep it in. You have a lot of attack, and you have a lot of ability to blow stuff up. So Book of Eclipse is pretty good. You know, push comes to really shove, you can always Book of Eclipse them and then go into a 4-material Zeus, and then Zeus them to get rid of all their face downs and then keep a Zeus on the back burner. So, like, Eclipse is still really... You can't capitalize on Eclipse as well as, like, maybe Dinos can, but Eclipse is still good. 3-Day Barrier. This shuts down a lot of decks. Name Xyz against Kashtira and they'll cry. Name Fusion against Branded and they'll cry. I mean, you're functionally playing Dimensional Barrier copies 4, 5, and 6 in the main with Contact Seeds. So, like, just putting this in is great. Most of your monsters are Link monsters, so that's fine. You can tech your D barrier around what you have. So if you have Super Poly, you don't have to call Fusion until after you've used you don't have to use Dimensional Barrier until after you've Super Polyed. If you've got Xyzes, you don't have to use Super Poly. You can save it to break another board. There's a lot of flexibility in this deck for D barrier, and I really like it. And then, of course, 3 Evenly. This was the card I played the most. You will find this off Prosperity a lot, and it's just heartbreaking for your opponents to see the Evenly picked off of Prosperity. I did that to a guy in the final game of the final match. In game 3 of round 6, he was a Kashtira board. I think I interrupted him early. He just had a ton of back row, so he set like 4 back row, and then I prospeed for 6 and found Evenly, and he was very disappointed. But okay, that is the deck profile, and let me just show you the 2 1-card combos real quick. So we're going to start. Say you open Evil Eyes Unleashed and 4 hand traps. This is what we do. Let me make sure my camera angle is fine. We'll put that there. Yeah, that's just fine. Okay, you activate Unleashed. For cost. For cost. For cost, send Gorgoneo and Basilisk. Add Selene. Okay. Banish the Gorgoneo. Pitch the Selene. Add the field spell. Activate the field spell. Add Surzeal. Normal Surzeal. add Basilius. Special Basilius. Basilius to Foolish Burial. It really doesn't super matter. You mostly just want to get rid of something. I usually send the field spell here because I don't necessarily want to draw another copy of the field spell over other cards in my deck. So you can send that. If you're going second, or if you're going first, you can usually send the Retribution because you don't really want to draw it later. But send whatever you want. You're really just sending a spell trap to banish off of this so you can reset your Selene. So you pay 1,000, banish the spell you just sent, set it, activate it targeting Surzeal, special Basilius. And this is where you can make a 3 interruption board and make Cicada King, or like I said, I prefer you can make a 4 interruption board with Stone King Darius and Divisor King Machinex. Okay? That's your end board, and you have a hand of 4 hand traps. So what do you have? You have a pop with Surzeal. So you pop one thing, she goes up to 21. You can Divisor King a monster they use on the field. Detach these 2 first. Get it. You can Divisor King something else. I'll just keep the Stone King to show that there's 1 material left, but you can Divisor King. So you've Divisor King, you've popped. Then you can special Basilius. You can link Basilius and the Evil Eye into Gorgon, and then banish Unleashed to re-equip the Selene to the Gorgon. 1 card, 4 interruptions. A pop, 2 steals, and a negate. That's really good. When you get back to your turn, your Surzeal is going to blow up your... sorry, this guy's banished. Your Surzeal is going to blow up your Pareidolia, which gets back your Basilius. And then you can go from there. I mean, depending on what you draw, you can special the Basilius, send the other Gorgoneo, and then you can banish that and pitch an Evil Eye card in your hand to add another Unleashed, and then activate Unleashed, add the other Selene, send, I don't know, that and another Basilius, and you can go Link, you can go into Cicada King, you can go do a Link 3. Like, you have a lot of follow-up and a lot of options off of that innocuous board. But yeah, so that's one of the 1-card combos. I'll show you the other one. It's really very similar. It's incredibly similar. You start with Surzeal. Normal Surzeal. Surzeal effect. Add Unleashed. Now, as you can see, this card is very linchpin in the deck. Activate Unleashed. Send, add. Banish. Discard. Add. Activate. Add. Special. Foolish. Banish. Set. Activate. Special. Overlay. Overlay. And there you go. It's the exact same board. The really only difference is if you start with Unleashed, you have to go through to find Surzeal. If you start with Surzeal, you just grab Unleashed and go through the rest of the way. But you have so many ways of getting to this board that you can play all of the non-engine cards that we play, and so you get to play all these fantastic hand traps and board breakers. Guys, 5-1. So our first round we played Gishki Sprite. It was pretty close. By the way, we lost all 6 die rolls last night. We didn't go first in game 1 all night. Excuse me. So if you're questioning the ability of this deck to go second, don't. It can go second. It can go second. Fine and dandy. But round 1 we played Gishki Sprite. Game 1 we didn't open any interruptions, and he just went full combo. And their full combo ends on Toads, Smashers, and the 1 Gishki Ritual Negate. So like, there's not really much you can do at that point. So I think we also bricked on equip spells. I think we drew both Gorgoneo and a Selene, and then our Pot of Prosperity for 6 showed us double, triple tack, double Pot of Prosperity, and a Basilius and a Basilius, I think. So like there was just nothing. We weren't winning that game. Game 2, we won because we went first. He had no interruptions. Game 3, we actually opened 3 hand traps, but they were the wrong ones. He had so much search and resiliency that our Ash didn't do anything. We had an imperm, but again, he had enough things that the imperm didn't matter. And then the Gishkis make a monster negate, so we couldn't Nibiru him because I think it was his 5th summon was the monster negate. And so it was just, we impermed the Gigantic Sprite, so for his 5th summon, he just makes the monster negate, and suddenly we're just unable to Nibiru him. So we actually opened 3 hand traps full combo, but it wasn't enough because his hand was just all gas. But that was the only match we lost. Round 2, we played Hero, I believe. I think, yeah, round two was against Sean. Yeah, so round two we played Hero, and this deck, even going second, it really eats Hero alive. We nibbed him game 1, we even lead him game 2. We contact seed him both games as well, so like it was a rough time. Sean actually plays Magic Cylinder main deck in every deck, and so this is actually the one matchup where it would have been terrifying if he had Magic Cylinder at us because we took some damage over the course. I think we were at 800. If we'd attacked he would have Magic Cylinder, we would have just lost the game. But round 3 was against Sprite again, pure Sprite this time. So he didn't have a monster negate, so we just always Nibiru'd him and contact seed him. Contact seed doesn't do as much against Sprite because they can make sprint, but usually that means that they have to, you contact seed whatever their first level 2 summon is. Maybe they normal summon Beaver, you imperm the Beaver and contact seed, and then they have to go into sprint. They get, maybe not Beaver. In any case, contact seed is not great against Sprite, but it's okay. It makes their plays a little wonky. But we just had everything. Game 1, I think we had like 3 or 4 hand traps in full combo. He also bricked on imperms. He drew all 3 imperms, but he didn't know what our cards did. So he waited to imperm. He didn't imperm Surzeal, and then waited to imperm until after we got Celine. And I'm like, I'm sorry, dude, it's untargetable. So like sometimes you'll scam games because people don't know what your cards do or what your combo lines are, but we take those. Round 4, we played Branded. Contact C is a beast. Contact C is ridiculous against Branded. They can't do anything. Game 1, he had a really funky hand. It almost worked, but we managed to nib him with on his 5th summon with no cards in hand. And so I think from there he had a Sereneer, so he sent the Branded Fusion, set it with Retribution, but with no cards in hand, he couldn't make Lubellion, or his Lubellion couldn't do anything, and I don't know why. He sent Sheeran off the Branded Fusion with Albaz. I don't know why he didn't just make Albion and go into Mirror Jade, but I mean, it is what it is. As it is, he made Big Grapha off of a King of the Swamp in his grave, and the Sheeran, which, a single Omni is not going to do anything to us. We had enough resilience that a single Omni was not enough. So we won that. Game 2, we contact seed him on his Aluber. He searched Branded in white. He made Guardian Chimera, and we contact seed his Guardian Chimera. So he lost that one too. It was very good. The Branded one was good. Round 5, we played Trap Tricks. I nibbed her game 1. She evenlyed me game 2, but we managed to bring it back from the evenly because she didn't really have any follow-up after that. So that was good at least. And then round 6. Round 6 was against Kashtira, but it was against Austin's Kashtira, which is really fun because he plays the righty-lefty driver normal summon package. So game 1 was not close. He made a rise. Again, we lost every die roll, so we went second every first game. So he makes a Rise Heart pass, and you just can't do anything without your graveyard. We managed to go into... So we normaled Surzeal. He banished the Surzeal off with a Rise Heart. Then we emerged to make a token, special summoned Basilius, special summoned Basiltris, tried to go into Zeus, but he had enemy controller, so he just stopped our Zeus from coming out, and we couldn't really follow up off of that. Game 2, though, targeting protection is really good against Kashtira. They can't Fenrir you. They can try to Fenrir the Selene, but if they're Fenriring the Selene, they're not really doing anything. And so we managed to take targeting protection and get around it. Game 3, this was like my most heads-up play I've ever done in my life. He draws his 5. He normals righty driver. Now, normally I go, oh my gosh, he's got righty driver. You know, so the play is he normals righty driver. He special summons lefty, makes it a 3, sinks into Herald the Arclight, and now he's Nibiru protection. That's his normal play. For whatever reason, at that time, when he normaled it, my brain was screaming at me, ash this. I'm like, why am I ashing this? This isn't Theosis. This isn't Pressured Planet. Like, why am I ashing this? But my brain is just, I'm like, okay, I'll ash it. I ashed it. He sets 4 and passes. And he was like, why would you ash that? Thinking about it, of course I should have ashed that. If he's normally righty, he can't birth because he's already normaled. He can't special and he cashes. And so if I just normal that, he's dead in the water. It was the perfect thing to ash. So, but it was just funny because at the time I couldn't articulate it, but I just knew that I needed to do it. But and then that was the game where we ash his righty, he sets 4 and passes, and then we just Pot of Prosperity into evenly him. So that one was good. But yeah, we ended up with 4th place out of 40 people. We got 10 packs, I think. They recently switched from store credit to packs, which I'm not a fan of because my polls are often garbage. But that's the deck. That's the test hands. That's the tournament report. Folks, try it out. Let me know what you think. But I think this deck's pretty good. I think I actually checked today, and it just got a regional top. It's all right. This Evil Eye's Unleashed card is bonkers. But I appreciate you guys watching, and I will see you next time.